he had a really amazing video posted just today, and I saw it, and I thought I'd have him on to explain. Guito, tell us a little bit about yourself and what your discoveries are.
Yeah, it was. I'm a singer and songwriter from Brazil, and also an actor. I did some movies on Netflix and some other TV programs here in Brazil. But I studied agronomy when I was in the university, so I'm a little familiar with research and something like that. I start to make my own like independent research. And one day I follow a lot of scientists from outside Brazil, like Robert Malone, and I was reading one post about him, and the post was saying that he was saying that the shots are good for our immunity. It grow our immunity, and I think, what?
Yeah, no, you're fine. He was saying you were reading in Brazil that Dr. Malone said that the COVID vaccine was helping your immunity.
Yes, and you know, I followed Malone have a long time. I knew what was going on, his opinion about it, and when I translate in English, he was saying one thing, but when I translated on using the Twitter, use Google Translate, the phrase was the opposite, you know, and I said, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And then, okay, it happened in one time, but we know Translate, Translate programs is always fail sometimes. And okay, I say no problem. But after some days reading more, and you start in Twitter, you start to go more and more, you know, following many guys, and happen again with the same, not the same research, but with one other guy talking almost the same, that maybe take care, maybe these shots of mRNA COVID vaccines maybe are made in our immunity not so good, you know, it's compromising, something like that, our immunity. And when I translated, was the opposite again. So 2 times, and I said, "Whoa, okay." But I stay quiet, and I just saw that. I take a print of that, and then 6 months ago, I was reading one research. I think Steve Kirsch. It was Steve Kirsch.
I've actually had Steve Kirsch on. I'm having Dr. Malone on.
Yes. And have one Midwestern doctor. I think that he write also in, and it was one of these researches. And when I went to the result, was the opposite. The problem is not one word, you know, it's the word that cannot be changed. And then I was reading one post of one of journalists of Brazil, and he used to be a left journalist, and he posted something about vaccines, and I said, and he posted against the vaccines, and I said, okay, take care, because Google used to change. Don't believe truly in what you read when you translate, you know, because Google are changing. I have never said that before for no one, and he came to me and said, "Oh, do you have proof of that?" And I made a video. I said, okay, I have one video, I record, and I have some prints, but I'm only one guy, you know. So I put it, and he put my video on Twitter, on X, and the discussion behind is it's many people say that the same happened with them, you know. And in this video that I did, especially, it's very clear that the phrase means the opposite of the result in English. So in English, they are saying that the risk of heart attack get high, grow up. And when you translate, it says that decline, grow down. Man, this is the opposite. And I don't know what's going. We know that the world is in war right now. For me, army war, it's the end of a war. It's when someone loses and okay, I'm going for all or nothing. But this is huge. When you translate, if you really are doing it in mass, like in scale, many doctors in Brazil have their opinion, and journalists used to read research to make their opinion, and doctors, and this is crazy, insane. I cannot use other word because maybe thousands of people was reading that, and when you translate and when the result means the opposite,
right. And the thing is, it's not as if they translated it into I don't know if you know this word, gibberish, which means nothing. It's not like they didn't make a mistake with every single word. They only made a mistake directionally.
Yeah.
They had the word COVID. They have the word illness. They have the word heart attack.
Yes.
Every single word.
This is the point.
Like if it's saying, look, I have Guito on my show today, and today is November 25th, 25. And he is a very handsome man, so forth. And it says everything right except it changes handsome to ugly, or it changes man into elephant.
Of course, exactly this.
How can you translate every word correctly except it decreased, it increased, or there was high risk, low risk? That seems to be you can't if I don't speak Portuguese, so if I say something in Portuguese now, I'm going to get every word wrong. If I can speak perfect Portuguese and I only get the word wrong, that's in the middle, that is the opposite of what I want, what I should be saying.
Exactly.
You can imagine the hysteria. At one point, Jimmy Carter, our president, was I think in Poland, and this is a while ago, 40, 50 years ago, whatever. and his translator did everything right except one word. There was almost like a war because he got everything right. He mistook a word. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but a translator is hugely important in diplomacy. And we rely on these translators in Google to get most things right. You can imagine that if you just wanted, like, if you were, I don't know if you know Monty Python, the comedians, but they could make a great skit out of this and everything's right except one word's the opposite, and people go nuts. So it just seems to me that this has to be, in a way, first of all, it's dealing with a sensitive issue. It's dealing with the COVID vaccine, which has, huge amounts of money and politics, interspersed in it. It's not like you're reading the football scores, and they say, I don't know, back in the day, Maradona got 2 goals and he only got 1 goal. Okay, fine. They made a mistake. Or he got an assist instead of a goal or whatever. But in this case, to mistranslate goal into, I don't know what, a birthday present or what. I mean, it seems like you have to really go out of your way to get the intent wrong of the article in question.
Yeah, we have many coincidences. One other thing crazy is that when I saw that, I say, okay, I will go to another translator, and was right. The other one was okay. I used it like deeply, DPL, and it was okay. Exactly what the meanings of the phrase. I use it one other one. I don't know, one other one. I forgot the name, but it was okay also. And it is in the discussion, the thread of that post. One guy from Portugal, he said, "Oh, here from Portugal, the translator are okay. Only in Brazil are the problem." So, okay, it's many coincidences. It was not only one time. It is more than one time, and it is not for both sides. So okay, if it's something casual, sometimes we'll be with the shots and sometimes against the shots, statistically casual,
Right.
but always in the same side,
Yeah, it's always in the same direction.
always in the same direction.
We have a situation here in the U.S. where there are oftentimes close elections. I mean, that probably happens everywhere, but over and over and over and over again, I can't think of the last time a close election went to not the Democrat. So we have all these close elections and the ballots, and they recount. The more ballots come in, the new ballots that come in are always for the Democrat. And so we have an expression here that you have to, if you're not a Democrat, you have to win too big to rig, which means you have to win by so much that they can't just have these magical little votes coming in later. But it's always one direction, and this kind of puzzles me a little bit. I actually wrote. I'm actually kind of thinking about the cause of this, and I'm going to show something you haven't seen yet. But this is an article I wrote almost a year and a half ago. It's in a blog called Dead Man Talking by Joel Smalley, but it's my article. It's called Chat CCP, the know-it-all with flair. And the concept here, I was having problems. I was writing an article, and I was using chat to kind of help me research some aspects. And what happened was that when I put something in, I said, I was writing about Dr. Fauci and this and that, and I would put some quote in. I said, what did Dr. Fauci say about the Diamond Princess in February? Can you give me some articles, whatever? Fine. He didn't write my article, but he was helping me research stuff. And every time he came out with exactly the wrong answer when it was about the vaccines and about Dr. Fauci. And factually, this chat CCP is very good at reading the internet, but there's a human layer where I think that Google is probably using some AI, a large language model right now. And what there is like on the top of it, there's like an editor, a supervisor that the humans have changed so that the answer comes out a certain way politically. And so my joke here is basically, instead of chat GPT, it's chat CCP, which is, the Communist Party of China, which basically, kind of takes things and manipulates it their way. So that's just, a little bit of my,
in my opinion, I don't know what they are doing this here in Brazil, but for sure, they have our court are very close with the social media, like Google, not X anymore, because Elon Army looks like are fighting with Alexander, especially, and not the other ones, but especially Alexandre. They are like two boys fighting, But this is why I think maybe Google are trying to test something like AI and to see if they can
to groom it per country. It seems to me
because
they're
I'm
giving
sure
a Brazilian version based on what the government wants there.
Yeah, because I'm sure that if it happened in the United States, they will pay. They will pay for it. But in Brazil, they will not pay for it. So they can try it here. Looks like our. I try to make some noisy for our lawyers and our court to it need to do something because if it's true, if it's really is happening in scale, this is dangerous. This is really dangerous. One guy can make a mistake for everyone. Like this is huge, and it's very important to see this. But one other coincidence is that after I put my voice on the hit, after I say this, they kick me out of the cast of the Netflix movie that I did. So if you research, if you research right now on Google, casting DNA of crime, or in English is criminal code series on Netflix, they moved me out. They just kicked me out of this. So they wanna kill me as an actor, and this was, and I said, okay. I don't know what to say, but I don't know if I can. Let me see here. Try
Well,
to.
I have your post. I'll put up here. People can find this.
Oh
Um,
yeah, but
so
you can try also in.
they can read it. Yeah, you've actually put up. You were at Brownstone. Were you in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I was. Yes, I was there in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
I was there too.
We didn't met there, but it was a lot
That's
of people there,
that's
and
amazing. I'm so sorry I didn't meet you there, but
I think I was the
thank you
only
for
one
last time.
from Brazil. But it's
Huh.
because I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical about everything always,
Now
and
that's a funny thing. That's one of my taglines. Is I say, I'm skeptical when I'm not skeptical all day because 8 hours I'm sleeping, but the rest of the time, I wake up skeptical. I go to
yeah,
sleep skeptical. I don't think I'm skeptical when I dream, and I try not to be skeptical when I'm around my family.
uh,
But it's a very reasonable thing. The funny thing is we don't have much time right now, so I'd like to have this conversation a little bit more later. But I have to be heading out in just a few minutes. But I wanted you to see. I write for Brownstone as well. So you actually tagged Brownstone in this post. But one of the things I have written about for Brownstone is Zika, and it's not your topic of concern per se, but I just thought,
you mean Zika virus?
yeah. So this is my book here, and you can probably say this better than I can. I have trouble with the word. Can you say this?
Zika was one famous case here in Brazil because it happens in Brazil like 1 year before COVID, and
Yeah.
was very, very big noise here in Brazil. Oh, Zika are in the northeast of Brazil, Zika and chikungunya, you know. And one thing that made me change my mind in the COVID was because that year, 1 year ago, when Zika was growing fast in Brazil, what was the best medicines against that? Chloroquine.
Ah,
You know, everybody was saying, "Oh, we have hydroxychloroquine; it's perfect for Zika," and all of them, all the news, all the the big media
mhm.
was proving the chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine for Zika and chikungunya, and saying that, oh, this is very safe for pregnant women.
Uh-huh.
It's safe for everyone. It's very old
It's interesting.
medicines. And
Well,
when
I'd love to send you a copy of my book. Can you pronounce the title for me? I always get stuck saying it in Portuguese. Can you see
Zika,
that? No, can you see my book title on the
oh
screen?
yes, desconstruindo in português.
I can't say that. My tongue
Des,
tied when I try to say
yeah,
that.
construindo is building.
Construindo,
Yeah, and
desconstruindo o
this,
Zika. So this book
desconstruindo.
is overturning Zika, and you should check it out. So it's a pandemia.
Oh,
Can you?
I wanna read it. I would really wanna read
Well,
it.
I gotta say, I mean, I know I'm the guy who wrote it, and I shouldn't be saying this, but it's an amazing book. I never thought I would write this book. Like if you'd asked me, 10 years ago, what I'd be writing about, I mean, nobody heard of Zika, but even when Zika came out, like what I'd be writing about Zika, no. But 3 years after the fact, I just happened to look into it. It's like I remember this big thing. What happened to it? It disappeared, and so the disappearance really got me like thinking. And so I started doing research on it. I made an article up for one of the medical journals here, and they were going to publish it, but then COVID was coming around. They said, "Oh, we don't want to publish it now because it's going to put doubt on the public health establishment because we don't want people to start doubting them because they might doubt them based on your Zika story." But we can't find any holes in it. They couldn't disprove what I was saying was true. But basically, the short answer for my book is that Zika is a real virus and microcephaly is a real phenomenon. Those are both real. It's just
Yeah.
that they don't have anything to do with each other. Like, I mean, you're real and I'm real. And until today, we had nothing to do with each other. So, it doesn't say you're not real, but we had no interaction. Now we do have an interaction. But, because there's I don't know, a beach ball outside my window and there's a book over here, that doesn't mean they have anything to do with each other. So Zika microcephaly has not returned because the science was bad in connecting them in the first place. That's kind of the short story. But the interesting part, you mentioned chikungunya, is that doctors in northeast Brazil, in Bahia, and Salvador, Bahia, there was a group of doctors and they formed a WhatsApp group called Chikungunya V. virus, the mission. And they actually said chikungunya v il misao, and referred to the movie 1986 Robert De Niro, Jeremy Irons movie, where, and I don't want to get too far into it, but basically the colonialists were bad people, the Indios were good, and they wanted to do the social justice. They wanted a new virus to come to Brazil so that they could bring money and attention to the poor northeast of the country, because it's darker skin, poor people, hotter, and so forth. And so they wanted a virus. So they formed a group hunting for chikungunya to come so they could get money and attention from WHO and all that kind of stuff. And the funny thing is, they both succeeded and failed. They didn't get chikungunya. They found Zika, which is really a dengue virus. And they may or may not have found Zika by itself. Who knows? But the funny thing is, they succeeded way beyond their imagination because the Zika microcephaly pandemic, panic, whatever you want to call it, came out. But as a result, the area has suffered. Salvador population has gone down because people are afraid to have babies and people have moved out of the area. So they succeeded in getting the money and attention. But it's kind of like a pact with the devil. You make a pact with the devil, things don't always work out. You may get what you want, but it turns out that wasn't the best thing for you. Anyway,
I remember the Zika. Here in Brazil, it's a meme right now. Like when you are playing football and you kick it out of the goal, they go, "Oh, you are Zika, you are Zika." When you are not so good, you are not feeling so well. Oh, they used to come. Oh, are you Zicado? To Zicado, but like Zika, when came, nobody get attention of that. But when start to came that microcephaly, shot pictures and all Zika and microcephaly people. I know a lot of friends that was, I'm 14 years old, I'm 40 years old. And I know a lot of friends that it was like 3-4 years ago. So I am in the age of reproduction,
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that was married and they stopped to try.
Right. This is sadness. So part of my book is the fact that there are probably 500,000, if you look in the whole, kind of tropical Americas, there are probably 500,000 what I call ghost babies. That is to say, babies that never came into being, that would have existed if they hadn't made this panic. And I think it's a crime in a sense. You can't convict somebody for the murder of a baby that never existed, but because they were just thoughts. But if they hadn't done this public health panic, there would probably be 500,000 children walking around now, and families happier and so forth, without all the grief. But they haven't retracted. This is just not a real thing. Zika's real, microcephaly's real, but they're not connected. And the science that said it was connected was wrong. So I have this book out, and it hasn't really caught fire. It hasn't really sold.
Very interesting. Very
big in Brazil, but we can talk about it another time. I do have to get out of the house right now. But
let's talk again. I would love